I want to talk about briefly Thomas the Apostle, often called the twin, also known as Doubting Thomas to many of us. Thomas the Apostle is somebody that I think that we can all relate to in a lot of ways. Now, he gets a bad rap because, as we see after resurrection, he was not present in the upper room with the other disciples the first time that Jesus came and revealed himself to them. So Thomas isn't present. Jesus shows up. He reveals himself to the apostles. They get to see him in all of his glory and his renewed, resurrected body. And he still has scars. He still has the wounds, but he's alive. It's after the resurrection. Jesus is alive. But Thomas isn't there to see it. And so the rest of the disciples, after Jesus, when Thomas comes back after Jesus has left, they try to tell him, hey, we just saw Jesus. He's back. He's risen from the dead. He's here. And Thomas doubts him. He says, no, there's no way. Unless I see the holes in his hands and the hole and the wound in his side, I will not believe. And a lot of us, we look at that and we immediately jump on Thomas and for doubting. And we see Jesus comes back to the room again with Thomas is present, and Jesus lets Thomas touch his hands, lets Thomas see the wound in his side, and Jesus talks to him about, you believe because you have seen. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet still believe, referring to us, you and I, because we haven't seen Jesus. I haven't seen Jesus, and yet I still put my faith in him. I still believe. But I think one thing that Thomas gets an unfairly jumped on, if you look, when Jesus is going to visit Lazarus, and Jesus learns of Lazarus' death, Thomas, called the twin, said to his fellow disciples, John chapter 11, verse 16, us also go that we may die with him. Thomas, when Jesus was still, before the crucifixion, Thomas was all in. Thomas was one of the disciples that was fully sold out. He was all in. He wanted everything to do with what was going on, and he was willing to go and die for his Lord. But as we see, the moment that something bad actually ends up happening, Thomas begins to lose faith. He begins to doubt. And how many of us have been in the same situation? One of the reasons, historically, it is believed that he had an actual twin. But I think he's also referred to as twin in the scripture because he's a twin to you and me. How often do we go through life completely sold out for Jesus? We are completely sold out. We're even willing to die. How often do we walk through life like that? And then the moment that something rocks our world and rocks our faith, we begin to doubt. We begin to end up like Thomas. We begin to say, unless I see this miracle or unless I see this thing happen, I'm not going to believe. How many brothers and sisters in the faith have left the faith and deconstructed because of things like this? Thomas is called our twin for a reason, because he is exactly in the same place as us. But he also sets the example that he saw the Lord, he believed. And Jesus said, blessed are those who do not see and yet still believe. That's you and I, friend. The example has been set for us. Even when we go through these tough life challenges, which are promised to come, life challenges are going to come our way. They're going to challenge us. Even when these things come our way, we still have to believe, because Christ is the only thing holding these things together. God is sovereign over everything. He's sovereign over our pain. He's sovereign over our suffering. And sometimes he allows us to go through these trials and these tribulations so that we will grow closer to him and we will come to know him more. And so if we look at Thomas, he ends up going and becoming a disciple and going all the way to India to evangelize, where he is eventually martyred. The encouragement I want to leave you is that even when the storms and the trials come, Christ is still Lord. He's still on the throne. He is still sovereign over all of our human affairs, and we still need to look to him no matter what. I hope that you will enjoy that. I hope that you will find comfort in that. I hope that, as Charles Spurgeon said, that God's sovereignty is the pillow upon which you can rest your head, and you can lay your head and find rest. I hope that for you.